Hello, namaste everyone. I welcome you all to the 51st session of Gurubodha. I'm the convener, Dr. J.B. Hebbar, and I welcome all of you to this session. We have three esteemed panelists, Dr. M.B. Guraja sir, Dr. Raghuram sir, and Dr. Mahesh T. sir. So on behalf of all of us students, I extend a cordial welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining, sir. I dedicate this and all of my works at the holy feet of Dr. A. Chandrasekhar Udupa. Topic of the day is our beloved but controversial topic of Bhang, used extensively in the Ayurvedic treatments, very well known for all of its uses, but still somehow there's a taboo attached, and in modern research is not not ready to accept the fact and legalize it. Though in the recent times it is heartwarming to at least to say that some amount of legalization efforts are there happening in the USA and Western world. My question to Dr. Gururaja sir is, can you please explain in brief regarding Bhang, its Ayurveda reference, its indications, qualities, and dosage? What Ayurveda says about it, sir, please.
Bhang is one of the important classical reference drug, which we find way back from the 10th century onwards. Here and there, the references in the Nigantus. So once, if you go back to the Indian history, you can observe that even Ayurvedic history, when India came in contact with the Middle East in all those time, we find the first references regarding the Bhang and even Parasika Yamani and all those things. But when we observe the practices of things in India, particularly related with Shiva Pujana and the holy practices regarding, at the time of Shivratri and Holi and all those things, maybe we were knowing about this Bhang from very earlier times, but very unfortunately could not find such references in our Samhitas of earlier times. But we can get information regarding these things from the 8th or 9th, 10th century onwards. From Dhanvantari Nigantu onwards, we get the references in the Shodal Nigantu, later in the Bhavaprakasha, and so on. This is one of the important drugs. It is very extensively used in previous times, but later, due to various restrictions on its usage and its capability or potentiality about that narcotic type of capabilities, it has been banned, and its misuse is leading to a lot of issues. So that's why it came under the Narcotics Control Act, and in India, in across many states, growing and even cultivating and all these things are regulated, and most of the time it is restricted. And it is a taboo. One should not have possess particular grams or something like that in the ganja form of a ganja, rashi, charas or something like that, which is all products from the Bhang, what traditionally our Ayurveda speaks about. Technically, this Bhang is from botanical sources of plants of Cannabinaceae. The commonest one is Cannabis sativa, and we still have some subspecies and the varieties like Cannabis indica and Cannabis ruderalis, and such type of things are there. Of course, it has a variation depending upon its ecoclimatic conditions and the places which is available. Accordingly, it is branded in the market also in a different names. But commonest one what we get is the CBD oil in the market, or seeds of Bhang, or as one. Otherwise, the holy practices what we come across during Shivratri and Holi, and this particularly in the northern India, the preparation of Bhang. Bhang has been triturated. The leaves and tender leaves of the plant is triturated, made to paste, and mixed with the milk and all those things, and it is served as a thing for to make one person feel high in his moods. So such type of things are very common. But when compared to its practices are used in case of medical conditions or pharmacological activities related, it's one of the wonder drug, because it is having Vavayi guna. So any drug which is having Vavayi, Tikshna, Ushna gunas definitely has a rapid action and a high penetration and of course its results. Many times we use these drugs for various conditions of pain management. It may be any shooting type of pain, maybe or it may be skeletal muscle pain, or even the spasmodic pain or something like that. Even including the pain during the terminal stages of cancer. So we can very extensively use this. And of course, in Ayurvedic literature, we find a lot of references regarding the combinations or where the bhang is used, like Jati Faladi Churna, or even Bilvadi Churna, Kameshwara Modaka, Madanananda Modaka, Trailokya Vijayavati. There are so many such references, and plenty yogas have been mentioned which contains bhang in it. But general terms, what we use is generally, if you search the internet and everything, you will find one term called hemp. Nowadays, also a very prominent word which are being searched in the net. But hemp is generally used for the fibers of this plant, and bhang is usually the tender leaves and the fruits and flowers at the upper part of the plant, and the female plant and its branches with a sticky inflorescence is used for ganja or marijuana, or even it is for the hashish. And the sticky resin extracted from this goes to the part of charas. And of course, the oil extraction from these upper topplings of the plant goes under to the CBD oil. And of course, even oil is extracted from the hemp seeds that is also available in the market. But important thing is that it contains a various type of cannabinol and cannabinoid materials, as well as tetrahydrocannabinol, that is THC. Which one is having the more THC is abused for narcotic activity as well as the drug related type of actions. Or one, if you want to feel high in the moods, then drugs are used, and they are very contrabanded. Whereas the CBD oil and all the other things, hemp seed oil, doesn't contain much of that, and they won't cause you high. So this is comparatively available easily nowadays. When compared to earlier times, now it is online availability is, and of course, but one of the important area, because pain management is a very, very critical area in clinical practices. Whenever we have a very difficulty in handling the pain, it is the one which comes to our disposal. Definitely, the hemp creating and allowing by the government authorities to little bit loosening up on the legal aspects of this, then definitely it will going to be a wonder part of an Ayurvedic practice.
Coming to the bhang, which is explained as Bhanga in Ayurveda, and can you please go on to explain its main qualities and the areas in which it is very effective, and it's going to help. I mean, we are more concentrating on the health aspect, not the recreational part. So mention at least say 4 to 5 diseases in which if the bhang is available in the form of medicines, it's going to be a game changer for total Ayurveda community and for the world as well.
Typically, the bhang has effect on all the 3 doshas. It is typically kapha, vata, hara, but it increases pitta, that needs to be balanced. And definitely, it has a very typical role on the gut, where it helps to improve the agni, and it also helps to absorb the materials and even the water, and helps in digestion. So based on that, particularly in IBS or ulcerative colitis and these conditions, this is one of the important area, area where we can use bhang as a medicine. That's why our classical preparations like Bilvadi Churna and Jati Faladi Churna is also available. And typically its activity is on pain management, as I earlier said. That's the reason. Definitely it acts on various forms of pains like pancreatitic pain, appendicitis pain, or it may be even cholecystitis pain, or renal calculus pain, or even cancerous pain, whatever it may be. All these pain, it may be of a skeletal muscle, or it may be smooth muscle, spasmodic muscle. This can be used to a very large extent very typically used in these conditions to get a convincing result, and patient feel happy with this availability and giving the drug to the patient in a very systematic manner. It should not be given in more quantities in order to avoid sometimes a patient may consume more of the things and all these things. That part needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, it's very typically why it can be used. And next one is important area is its effect on nervous system, particularly on hallucination part, what it brings about. That also gives a very good effect on Shukra Stambhaka effect. Are also that's the reason many of the preparations are there available as the Madananda Modaka and Kameshwara Modaka. It helps in increasing the particularly very helpful in case of male erectile dysfunction or MED type of conditions, and as well as in anidra where there is an insomnia and such type of things are there. So now in the market there are products which can be used even in case of insomnia. So these are the various areas, very typical areas where we can use the hemp or bhang.
There's a question that hemp seed oil is also mentioned in Ayurveda. Is there any reference such as Bhanga Taila, etc., sir?
No such Bhanga Taila. It's only Bhanga mentioned in Ayurveda.
Answering this question, I had to run a quick search in this one. Ayurvedic for we had a 4,000. There's only one this Malla Taila which is there, which contains the bhang seeds as this one, but readily as such it's not used. And coming to its side effects in the Western world, like when the marijuana was like heavily regulated and teens, especially from underprivileged community, they're involving much in the trade of this, and the teenage kids were getting involved in the trade and became kind of a socio-political movement there. And then military persons were getting relief from the sports people also started using CBD oil externally, internally for pain relief, etc. So that's where the momentum gained, and it got sort of legalized, at least in several states in the USA. And there's also for the marijuana, which is very famous there, there's also a famous quote that nobody has died with the marijuana overdose. That is just an anecdotal statement which is used strongly to propagate the use more and more legalization and allowing of marijuana and legalizing it. Okay, it's not so, may not be very toxic in the short term, but what kind of side effects can we expect from this spectrum of products, sir?
So it's very typically anything which induces us to sleep, anything which relieves the pain, definitely on longer duration or overdosing, definitely we try to develop a tendency to depend upon that. So there is a tendency of dependency. So definitely it will develop with the use of these things. If it is done in a wrong direction, wrong dosage or a higher dosage and for a longer duration. So we need to curtail on that only for a short-term period that needs to be given. That's why it's regulated. It cannot be available easily over the counter. It cannot be available as a direct prescription drug. It is only through the doctor it's available right now. So these are certain recommendations and some restrictions are there that will be definitely good for the controlling of these things. Otherwise, there is all chances of it is going to cause a lot of issues with the its abuse. Definitely we need to control on that part, and of course government is regulating on that part, and it's fine. But side effect part of it, definitely when use this for a longer duration, for what and all intentions we are used in those areas, particularly, see if you observe the synonyms which is given to this is Madani, Matulani. These are the terms which are used very typically. It causes a hallucination. It makes you to be recreational and it becomes a dependent, and it causes blabbering, and of course to a higher center, uncontrolled things and such type of things will happen. And of course its continuous usage, definitely it has a negative effect on the brain cells, thereby a person's intellectuality and differentiation capacity and trying to understand and differentiate between right and wrong. All these things will go down. That's the reason those who have taken excessive quantity of ganja or something like that, they tend to have an aggressive nature because of the increased pitta activity, and they don't have control over their senses, and many times that the communal clashes are taken place. That time also we come across such information that people, those who are culprits, they have taken ganja or something like that to to just to avoid the fear. So such type of things are possibility is there that needs to be controlled. And of course, when we are as a doctors of Ayurveda, we are prescribing a medicine. We don't prescribe the same drug as alone. We have a combination and yoga. We are using it. Definitely, it won't cause any such things. But to be on safer side, that restriction is good to have at least in a limited knowledge and limited sources. If we are using it, definitely it will going to help us in practice.
Mr. Sandeep Agrawal from Pure Indian Foods, New Jersey, USA. Welcome, a long-term friend of mine and a big part of you is here of the family since long. Welcome, sir, and please ask your question.
Namaste, everybody. So the question is for Gururaja, sir. You mentioned about the habit forming. So, sir, what I have seen is that the research is suggesting, and several very well-researched articles are saying that this cannabis is actually not habit forming. And in fact, what they are saying is the proponents of cannabis, again, I don't agree or disagree with anything. I'm just sharing my comment, what I've read, is that tobacco is actually the most habit forming, which is easily available. Alcohol causes more damage, habit forming, very easily available. Opioids, which is the painkiller medicine, it's people are so used to this painkiller medicine that is habit forming, causes liver damage and all other damages in the body. They are easily available. So that's what the regulations in the US I see, and that's why the states are legalizing it left and right, is because they say everything else is available. They are worse than this in terms of habit forming. Why don't we legalize this? We are getting so many benefits, clinical benefits. So that's just I wanted to mention about the habit forming part of it.
Definitely, I do agree with this, but this belongs to the same category of drugs. It may be in the front runner or maybe in the back side, but it is also going to cause such ability is there for this drug, which definitely causes a habit forming nature. Maybe the researchers they have observed, or maybe what are the protocols or what are the design of the test, what they have conducted is debatable. I don't have any data on that. But thing is, what according to Ayurveda also, it's very clearly it is said, it is Matulani, Madani, very clear terms have been explained, which suggests that it is having the capacity to cause Madha, or it definitely one which is able to destroy the mental ability of a person for a time being, maybe under the influence. So such type of drugs will definitely have a tendency. So it's a simple thing. If some chemicals are added to some pani puri or something like that in that one, if you start eating them, every evening when we pass by that vehicle, we feel like to go and eat and go and eat. Our mind promotes us to it. Then this CBD oil or hemp or whatever it is, if you are consuming for a painkiller, definitely it reduces all your pains, and definitely the pain killing concept is one of the important thing which makes the people to get habituated to anything. That's the reason people consume alcohol in the evenings, come from the work, and later in India, this is what the tendency in the socio-economical group, in the lower economic group, we have seen people consume just for the sake of pain, they consume it. So reducing the pain is a very important area. Definitely, if any drug which is doing that one, they try to take that, and knowingly or unknowingly they become habituated, and their body starts demanding that they require that. So that's the reason we need to be very cautious on that part. Legalizing, definitely it should be legalized, and it should be regulated also, that it should be reached to the needy person, one who is diseased, he requires a requirement, not to a person for just for this recreational purposes.
Thank you, sir. We have published, easier Medinfo about hemp, bhang, etc. Ayurvedic medicines with bhang. There are a few which we have published, and in those comment section, there are two debates that are happening. Sir, I am taking it. I am not able to come out. So that habit forming is one of the queries, and some queries are regarding dependence. I get good sleep and sexual energy, and sexual disorders are relieved, but I'm kind of dependent. So those two things we keep on hearing in the comment section from the audience. Raghuram sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, so coming back to what Gururaja sir was telling, so question back to Gururaja sir. and on behalf of me and on behalf of others as well. So to get a small clarity, Gururaja sir, you mentioned that Bhanga, so it has Vata Kava Hara property and also Pitta aggravating property. At the same time, we are seeing its clinical uses in pancreatitis, appendicitis, and a lot of painful conditions where inflammation is involved in a big quantity. So you also mentioned that it is quick acting and also it can be used as an emergency medicine. It can be a game changer, the word used by Heber sir also. Since it is aggravating Pitta, so how come it is acting in the inflammatory conditions where inflammatory pain is related to increased Pitta, number one? Is it due to Prabhava or Viparitarthakari action or Vichitra Pratyarabdha? What theory applies here? That is question number one, sir. Question number two is can the Mada or Matulani, the qualities which you have beautifully explained, can it be taken as the medicine interfering with the mind block or the mental block so that the person becomes pain tolerant and the pain axis is reduced or broken for a temporary or an increased time? These are the two questions for which clarification is needed, sir. Thank you.
Very clearly, if you go back to the references of Ayurveda where regarding the actions of Bhanga has been explained, one author says that it is Pittalani, it increases Pitta. There is other person who explains it is Pitta Shamaka. There are two authors, they explain in a quite contrasting way. There is a possibility it can increase the Pitta. That's the reason it is said as Deepani, Ruchya, Pachani. These terms have been used. In the same time, it is a Tikta in Rasa. Definitely Tikta Rasa won't allow the Pitta to increase. So Pitta will be reduced by that. But if you go on increasing these drugs in a large quantity, if you take it, definitely it increases Pitta Dosha. Secondly, as you said, how come Pitta Vardhana Dravya will help in the condition where inflammation is there? Definitely, I do agree there is some controversy, but that can be answered very easily because Bhanga is one of the drugs which is acting on Vichitra Pratyarabdhata, and it has a special capacity of the Prabhava, that is Madaka. So these two areas will definitely play a role, and definitely Tikkarasa will not help the Bhanga to create much more increased Pitta, but comparatively its effect on Pitta is it increases Pitta. That is point number one. Secondly, it's definitely based on Vichitra Pratyarabdhata. It definitely works on the areas. Of course, when a drug, each and every drug in Ayurveda, what they've explained, all the actions of the drug is not just because of the virya. It is even the rasa, virya, vipaka, prabhava, guna, everything play a role. And once again, there is a strength of these each and every individual padarthas. If they are all equal, then rasa will be overtaken by guna, guna will be rasa guna, both will be overtaken by the virya, then all the three will be overtaken by vipaka, then all the four will be overtaken by prabhava. Something like that, the acharyas have given a clarity that how we need to understand a drug action. So here also definitely it is a very good drug. Of course, it has a Vyavai guna and of course a mixture combinations of Rasaguna Virya. Definitely it is a Vichitra Pratyarabdha, and Vichitra Pratyarabdhas are very, very important in Ayurveda practice. Definitely they are suitable for many, many emergency management conditions, particularly the main. What we observe is pain management. Whenever we see in our OPDs, previous to use of Bhangas, what we used all Gugulus. Gugulus were the highest level of painkillers what we have are anti-inflammatory drugs. But once Bhanga is easily available to us and that's become combinations are available, definitely our controlling or our efficacy in giving a pain management or pain reduction definitely goes high, and definitely the results will be very beautiful and people will be convincing by using those things. Particularly, for example, in case of cancer and all those things, the counterparts advise them tramadol and such type of drugs. I have seen patients with the tramadol and all those things, they are highly gastric irritant and they are asking for some remedial, but pain management should be there. So in those areas, definitely Bhanga containing drugs will do a lot of things and it will be definitely a game changer if it is available in plenty in Ayurvedic practice.
Sandeep Agarwalji has shared this on the 9% of people may develop some dependency and all. But considering all the risks and benefits, we also came across a dramatic improvement in the Parkinson's, improving with just a small dose. All things considered, Bhanga should be used more and more with high level of precaution, high level of regulation. We all agree to that. Now, let me introduce Dr. Professor Mahesh sir, and he has co-founded a company called as Hempceuticals, and he's into manufacturing Bhanga products both for internally and externally. Dr. Mahesh, welcome to this session.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
First of all, like Hempceuticals, the name itself says that you are more into Bhang and related products. Before beginning all the questions, like why did you concentrate on hemp? Like Ayurveda products, there are too many. Why hemp?
Actually, there is 17,000 pharmaceutical companies belonging to Ayurvedic drug industry in India. And this is, I think, around 10 years back. Now the number might have increased drastically. So owing to that, and everyone has, if you see, when we take a classical drug, there are hundreds of classical preparations. Most of the herbal or herbo-mineral, they are unregulated for sales purpose. Now, when you sell something, most of them just go without any prescription. Or if at all they come with prescription, they just once or twice they visit the doctor. Rest is all like the Shamularista. It's like they just come to the shop and just take it like anything, just like how they buy some grocery. So this made me think of something that is going to really help a physician also. See, when I came across, incidentally, I had stepped down into this hemp industry in a very different manner. In fact, I had a opportunity to work for Ayur Hemp in one project. So Ayur Hemp, what happened is they wanted a product to be analyzed and for a clinical study, and they gave the product, and we started a clinical study which was on during the COVID-19 aspect. So where I was introduced to, that was the place where I incidentally stumbled into hemp industry. And when I came to know that it is something, I mean, as we studied, we saw that it gave a good relief, including in conditions like asthmatic conditions and neurological conditions. So then it created an interest, and ultimately we had me along with the 6 other, where one person is a Vaidya actually, who had been around 80-year-old person, who was the one behind all this, or the motivation for us. So we all came into a particular understanding that hemp is something very important with respect to many things. Pain is a disease which is a basic sign or symptom or whatever you call it. It may be an individual as per Ayurveda, but it is the basic problem that an individual faces irrespective of any disease. So if you can control pain, you can at least give a better life to the person who is suffering. Whether he is suffering from a cancer or a mild gastritis, doesn't matter. So Bhang is one of the best, as I've seen from various literatures. I should tell it's the medical cannabis, because there are differences, slight differences in different things which I can explain later. But this medical cannabis is one of the best answers for the pain management system. And if you manage pain, rest of the things people also will be able to cope up with, and they have a better life, or they can even get the disease cured with the help of other medicines which is given along with the preparations. So this made us to start out. And incidentally, medical cannabis is allowed in India right from the earlier stage. Even after the Act, what we have, the NDPS Act of 1985, even there, medical cannabis was allowed actually, which was not exploited or explored by, to be a certain extent, by our industry. So I thought it's a very gray area which can really give relief to the people. And another thing is, it is a Schedule E1 drug as per Drug and Cosmetic Act. So wherein the drug is one which is to be under the prescription only. The person cannot just go and buy just any other preparation. So it is something which is regulated. A person will be under the, and that gives a strength to the prescription of the Ayurvedic physician also. And more important is, they are able to work out a nice, well documented things are there, which is which is proving that it is having an excellent pain relief, anti-inflammatory action and it gives a tremendous relief to many people. So that was the basic reason why we choose jump into an hemp industry, which is an emerging industry in India. I think around 14 to 15 companies are there in India only. So I think it will be a great game changer when it comes in a full spectrum once.
Yes, sir, definitely. And legal disclosure, we are not promoting any self-use of any medication. We are just discussing the medical aspects of, Bhanga in the Ayurvedic sense. And, this is not with, may I, sir, coming with Bhang products is now kind of a promotional thing. There is no financial arrangements, etc. It's just a, information purely on the educational side. We are covering this. And coming to main Ayurvedic medicines of Bhang, may or may not be manufactured by you. Can you please talk about a few important ones?
Yeah, sure. So basically, Bhang was first mentioned in Atharva Veda. Especially, there is a puja procedure where the prasadam is given as Ramarasa, in which a preparation which includes Bhang. So that was in the Atharva Veda, and this puja is done at night. Incidentally, in the good olden days, even our family used to make, so that is why I know it very clearly. So anyway, so it was well known to the people, but to the certain extent, it was used as a recreational and to enhance concentration, pain removal. These are the different things which were there right from the ages. But basically, Ayurvedic text mentions two important names for Bhang. And one is Bhang as such, the other one is Vijaya. So in most of the formulations, you have Vijaya or Jaya as its name rather than Bhang. Most of them. May it be like Punarnavadikrita in Vaishaja Ratnavali or in Madanakameshwari Rasayana or Chaturjatak Rasayana, which we are producing with the reference from Sahasra Yoga. Then you have Rasaratna Samuchaya, again, which mentions Bhang Rasa, which is processed for Ananda Bhairava Rasa. So these are some of the substances. Triloka Vijayavati is there. Again, Vijaya, again, there it is mentioned. So basically, these two aspects are two different things, even though the basic related things are same, in the sense that both come under the cannabis varieties. So as such, they were using both for pain relief and Ananda Bhairava, in fact, for the GI tract problems, anti-inflammatory only, but GI tract problems, and Madanakameshwari for sexual wellness. Then Punarnavadika Ghritam, which is again having Vijaya there as a name. So all these places where you have Vijaya is actually for relief of the individual's problem, maybe in the form of anti-inflammatory or anything related to that. But in case of Bhang, it was usually for a recreational or a sexual wellness. Madana Kameshwari has the name as Bhang in that, which is sexual wellness, mainly as Vrishya and Rasayana Dravya. Whereas Ananda Bhairava, Punarnavadikrita is for mainly for Shotha. So these are the difference which we have to understand here is, in both the cases, even though we commonly take it as cannabis species, but the species have to be considered as different. See, there are 3 species mentioned mainly for under cannabis. They are Cannabis sativa, Cannabis indica, and Cannabis ruder. I think one more here, ruderalis. When we analyze these 3 plants, the THC values differ drastically, and CBD values also differ drastically. The one with higher THC, it has this high giving capacity, whereas one with low THC and high CBD, it is usually considered as medical cannabis because they don't give that high, but they are very efficient in giving the anti-inflammatory aspect. So these are even the locally when we surveyed, there is 2 varieties which we get in India. One is the Pahadi, the other one is the plains. The plains don't have or don't produce that high. So usually if you go into the folk practitioner or local level, they prefer the high altitude ones, which has higher amount of THC actually. So this difference is why we have to understand, and accordingly if we use, I think it will be, that is why the names also have been differed in Ayurvedic texts. Usually after the Sharangadhara and later periods, you have all these in the books. Even in the Nigantus also you have the descriptions.
Thank you, sir. And can you please explain your products? Like, what are you manufacturing? A little brief on that, please.
Yeah, actually we have brought out, which is in the market, we have 3 products only at present, and we are thinking of going to still more other products. One is a classical one, what I just told is Madana Kameshwari Rasayana, or else known as Chaturjataka Rasayana. The reference is from Lehya Prakarana of Sastra Yogam. So where 25% of bhang leaves is put. And even though it is a bhang leaves, so which is exempted from NDPS Act of 1985, still under the Ayush license, it has to be under a medical prescription. And the other 2 are, one is Sleep Sutra, which is for inducing sleep, and the other one is Pain Sutra, which is for relief of pain. Both are oils. So Sleep Sutra is apply on the legs, foot, and that will induce sleep. So the concept is aromatherapy, and we have mixed up. It's 2 are proprietary in disposal. And the Pain Sutra is again comes in drops. You can apply it over the region wherever it is affected. And what we have seen is it is more of towards the smooth muscle relaxant type of any smooth muscle pains. So the muscular pains or soft tissue pains, this will be more efficient rather than like joint pain or something like that. The sleep is where we have combined 2-3 concepts. Rather 3 concepts. One is bhang as such, where we are using oils, which is CBD oil, and we are using the aroma therapy concept and pada bhanga concept. So these 3 concepts we have used. So which gives a relief to the individual. So these 3 products we are presently in market. And we don't give this to any distributor lineup, or we don't give it to any medical shops. It goes straight to the physician on the order of the physician, and from physician that gets description given by on prescription basis itself. So we are trying to avoid its abuse, because that is the main aspect that will happen. So it is once the order is given by the physician, we give it to the physician, and then it becomes the duty of the physician to provide to the legality, and at least if not legality, virtually not control the use of this particular products.
Because bhang oil is not traditionally mentioned, did you get any license issues when you applied for the license of oils? The sleep sutra and pain sutra oils?
Yeah, not really, because because we applied license in the name of Bhang itself, because CBD is not an oil. It is an extract, which is almost a crystalline substance, which is suspended in oil. What we get as CBD oil, 15%, 30% is actually a crystalline substance, which is suspended into different oils. You can put it in hemp oil, hemp seed oil rather, or you can, usually they do that, or you can put it into coconut oil also. There is no problem with that. You can suspend it. It gets mixed into it. So this difference as we have, so we have only used as Bhang. So it will be like Bhang extract that is being used. So that is why we didn't get that problem in that. We are not entangled.
Please, question here that can an MBBS doctor prescribe it? Do you sell it to only Ayurveda community people or even MBBS doctors also? Are there any customers like that?
Yeah, so, those are good question. What I would like to say is, say we have an Ayush license, so it is supposed to be given to Ayurvedic practitioners, and if because for out of cross prescription, like how Himalayan drugs are, I'm sorry to use that, but they are in the practice, so they may use it. But strictly speaking, they have to get the CDSO SEO clearance for MBBS prescriptions. So that is why at presently we don't have that option, and probably in due course of time we may try out other options where CDSO clearance is obtained, and we can go for general for all. In fact, even MBBS wants to prescribe. But presently they can't prescribe because it is coming under the Ayush license.
Thank you, sir. And Sandeep Agarwalji, please go ahead.
Yes, since we are talking about all these products, I wanted to show some of these samples that I have, in case, somebody is curious to see, because, these are very generally, very easily available. So, flowers are available like this, the buds in the US very, easily. And we are talking about CBD extract. So, this is an pure extract, basically,
Exactly.
which is then mixed into different oils, as sir was saying, CBD oil. And then, this beautiful powder, which is just the crude material, which is the powder of these flowers and young leaves. So I just wanted to, show, because we are talking about it, people who have never seen it, just for their context.
Actually, I can put a light on that. Say the amount of THC is highest in the flower buds, especially the female flower buds. So one that gives high, and that is being banned by, or rather legally controlled by NDPS Act, is the flower buds and not the leaves and seeds. Leaves and seeds are exempted. I repeat, it is exempted from NDPS Act. But the problem is, you should have pure leaves and pure seeds. For seeds, you can use it just like any other leguminous seeds. It is not at all a problem. You get an FSSAI license in India for seeds, but that's what we call as hemp hearts. But with respect to flower buds, if it is mixed into that, then it becomes a banned variety. So because it is the flower bud that has the maximum amount of THC under the NDPS Act of 1985, and not the leaves. Leaves you can use freely, because leaves is supposed to said that it is not having any THC in that.
If an Ayurveda doctor say purchases from you, and there are other pharmacies also doing hemp products, if someone purchases it, is there any restrictions on quantity or storage guidelines specifically told for that? What quantity one can purchase from you, for example?
What I feel here is that is at the discretion of the physician, because the physician is responsible for giving this particular medicine. He can regulate it to the extent that is required for the patient. So naturally, he's believed that he should not be giving too excess of quantity. He's not supposed to give that. So only say, because for example, let me take Madana Kameshwara Rasayana for sexual wellness. We are recommending only for 90 days. and that is especially for certain aspects like erectile dysfunctions, and even we are also recommended for Parkinsonisms and things like that. But again, the Parkinsonism is a different area of nervous disorders. So where the individual, the physician who is looking into the particular case can decide on that, and accordingly he can regulate that. And it is not, as it is not freely available, so unless and until the physician prescribes, this cannot be accessed by the individual.
How do you source bhanga? Its cultivation for private use is illegal, and if some manufacturer, some Ayurveda doctor wants to venture into it, how to source bhanga, and where do you source bhanga from?
NDPS Act states that the bhang is something, it's a state subject. So states can give licensing and other aspect legally to cultivate as well as produce and procure the bhang. So incidentally, we have some states of India that has allowed for procurement and licensing also, but we need the clearance from the narcotics department, that is excise department, because it comes under the Narcotics Act. And we are supposed to take only from the depots of government and not from the outside vendors. Because outside vendors, whoever they are illegal. Outside vending of this particular product, of this particular raw material is not allowed. Whether it is allowed, it is allowed for procurement in any state or not, irrespective of that, you are not supposed to take it from the outside vendor or direct from the farm cultivators. So a cultivator, if he is interested for cultivation, he has to take license, and he has to give his produce to the government depots. And that government depots will be distributing to the manufacturers like us. So sourcing will be done from the government depots only. There is no other option. So even we are having our units in Madhya Pradesh, so where we are taking it from the government depots only, and we are using it for our purposes.
Why did you open the facility there, and why not Karnataka? Is there any?
Yeah, that's what. There are only some states have allowed at present. The first thing I had mentioned, and incidentally, Karnataka has not yet opened into it. There is illegal. I think there may be, but anyway, it's always illegal, which we cannot source it out, and we don't have depots in Karnataka, so which will be a major hurdle in procurement. Even though we may see it in front of eyes, we are not able to touch it. But the Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, and Uttarakhand, and UP, and Himachal Pradesh have legalized the procurement aspect also. They have their own depots where you can take it from them.
Going to a question on ethicality of prescribing one. You as manufacturer rely on the Ayurveda discretion of Ayurveda practitioners, Ayurveda doctors, to use it ethically, legally, and in the prescribed dose, etc. Any abuse from any Ayurveda doctor that they're probably ordering more than what, say, hundreds of kgs, etc. Or was there an incident like that?
To be very frank, we are still a startup, around 4 months old. So we are still on the baby state. So we need to have some experiences in the forefront. Probably we may have, or that's always there. Okay, basically, what I would like to clarify here is ethical aspect is dependent on the individual thing, because as a physician, he is supposed to give relief and not think of a commercial aspect. But again, even as a manufacturer, there are necessity for a commercial thing, but we cannot go into a full-fledged commercial just like any other Ayurvedic manufacturer because of the legality that we have. We are bound by certain legal restrictions. and because of that, we are only giving to these practitioners. So it is, once it is given to the practitioner, actually it becomes his or her responsibility to take the, to abide to the legal bindings that they have, and ethics also. So probably, as such, see, I strongly believe that no physician, whether he is commercially interested or not, will always will have any intention to harm a patient, because that will never happen, what I feel. So that is the reason I don't think so at present. I have not come across any such thing, and as I told, we are only 4 months old. So, but as such, we have one mechanism that we track the deployment of our products in different places. We have a mechanism which we are tracking into it, so that we also have, of course, we will understand what is our sales, and along with that, we will understand how and where our products are going, because that mechanism legally we are supposed to have.
One of the problems, or gray areas, so to speak, even in the therapeutic use, is the aphrodisiac use of it, like Vrishya therapy. It falls both under category of recreation and also the category of serious diseases. Like I have seen patients like thinking of committing suicide because of PED, premature ejaculation, or erectile dysfunction, etc. Question to Dr. Raghuram: where do you, like, there is Vrishya is told as sort of a basic therapy by Sushruta, that he goes on to say that before conception, both husband and wife should have Vrishya therapy. So that is kind of falls under recreational, and there is other spectrum where the serious disorders, which sometimes leads to breakage of marriages and divorce, or suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, a variety of things. So how to draw the line where Bhanga can be used?
So when we are speaking about aphrodisiacs, Vajikarana, Vrishya, and also the performance, so in that particular area, so people are concerned with it, you are right. So there may be suicidal tendency, there may be depression, there may be anxiety, there may be so many stress-related disorders along with these things. So when we plug in this aphrodisiac concept, so in Charaka, so it is clearly mentioned that Uvayam Uvayartha Krut. So that was a valuable word which was used in terms of, we can take it in two senses, like Swastasya Urjaskaram and Arthasya Roganut are the big classification of the medicines or the treatment aspects of Ayurveda. So like promoting the health in already healthy individual, so support therapy like, or the preventive measures we can tell, and Arthasya Roganut, the curative therapy. So two big lines of treatment we have in Ayurveda. Ubhayam Ubhayartha Krut, Charaka uses that word where we can plug into this particular concept, like a Swastasya Urjaskara medicine, which is supportive, can be a disease modifying agent, and a disease modifying medicine can also be a protective or a supportive medicine. So taking the concept ahead, in the same context, the word Ubhayam Ubhayartha Krut can be also applied to Rasayana and Vajikarana. So Rasayana, we know it is a support medicine for almost all the srotas, all the channels or the transport systems in the body. The transport system in the body, the micro and macro transport system itself is the basic, what we can call it as the platform on which we survive and thrive. So many, most of the functions of our body, including the mind functions, are included in the srotas concept. So here the srotas or the moolas of so many things, they have the moolas. And also when we come to the Rasayana therapy is supportive to almost all the dhatus and the srotas, which are making, transporting and doing everything with respect to those dhatus. So the conveyance system. So Rasayanas are that, and Ubhayam Ubhayartha Krut can be applicable. So that which is a Rasayana can act like a Vrishya. So even among the Rasayana, we get the Shukra Dhatu at the end. Okay, so which is also supported by the Rasayana. So when we come to the Vrishya, Vrishya is of many types. We will not go into the depth of that. So we'll be surpassing the limitations of this question. So here when we speak, Rasayana can act as a Vrisha and Vrisha can act as a Rasayana. And when we tag this one to the previous concept, Swastasya versus Katam and Artha Saragunat, Ubhayam Ubhayarthakut, everything can do everything. And when we come to the sexual area, sexual performance and all those things, it is the mind which matters most of the times. It's the mind over the body. So there is a physical component to it. There is a mental component to it. There is an emotional component to it, and there is a therapy component to it. Many people feel that we need a therapy or an intervention to get rid of these problems, sex-related problems, and all those things. Bhang, as you questioned, in terms of these things, among all those aphrodisiacs, even Mahesh sir was telling about, he used the word sexual wellness. I actually had a question, what does that wellness comprise of? How many components? Like he mentioned one or two conditions. That wellness is a big concept. The Vrishya or the Vajikarana therapy totally is embedded in that sexual wellness. Not only sexual wellness, so we have a restricted zone of understanding. For the students, it is okay. Vajikarana is equal to, or Vrishya is equal to an aphrodisiac or a sex medicine or a sexual wellness. It's okay. And when we come to Ubhayam Ubhayarthakut, Vrishya can act like a Rasayana and Rasayana can act like a Swastasya Urjaskara and Artha Saragunat, disease modifying, disease curing, and also the supporting system. Everything these medicines are providing. When we read through the Vajikarana and the Rasayana therapy, it looks like, so we need to see why Charaka has mentioned these two chapters right at the beginning of the Chikitsa Sthana instead of Jara Chikitsa. So the person who knows Rasayana therapy and also the Vajikarana therapy, so probably can handle the other most of the conditions, most of the complicated and also the diseases, the physical, the mental and the psychosomatic, all those territories can be comprehensively handled by these medicines. I have not used Bhang a lot, so probably I also feel like Bhang has having so many benefits as Gururaja sir and also Mahesh sir have clarified in their description of Bhang, and Bhang being an important ingredient in components like Madana Kameshwari and other medications. So as a component, so probably having those medicinal properties detailed by Gururaja sir beautifully, being a part of an aphrodisiac and sexual wellness medicines, yes. So if that particular component is to be addressed, we need to see through that. Many people totally, their wellness, not only sexual wellness, is totally dependent on the drug therapy and also the Yukti Vyapashraya Chikitsa. So in spite of everything being there, so I have a lot of patients who inquire. So like the prescription is going to end in 3 weeks. Maybe we have 3-4 days, sir. So what if I finish the medicine? What to start next? Should I continue the same? Should I add on certain medications? What is your suggestions? So there is a lot of anxiety about the problem. People think that once I discontinue the medicine on the 21st day of prescription, like if it is a 3-week therapy, on the 22nd day, my complaints will come back. So there is a belief. So the dependency is on the medicine, the trust is on the doctor. So if we need to play with medications in certain way to a particular extent, we need to do that. Sattva Vajaya Chikitsa is also required in the what we can call it as the sexual disorders, treating them. Everything, Daiva Vyapashraya, Yukti Vyapashraya, Sattva Vajaya are applicable everywhere. So Sattva Vajaya is mainly applicable in these conditions. If it also needs a support therapy in the form of aphrodisiacs and other things, which may or may not contain, with or without Bhanga and other conditions, it is welcome. And if Bhanga is providing a great value-added thing to these aphrodisiac medicines, then I welcome. So I personally haven't used Bhanga individually or Bhanga containing medicines 20 in my practice. I cannot comment totally on this like an expert advice. So putting my thoughts on the Vajikarana therapy and also what components comprise the Vajikarana therapy. It's a wholesome approach. So the sexual disorders, like any other disorder, should have a wholesome approach. And if Bhanga consisting medicines like Madana Kameshwari can promote the sexual wellness and can bring a big change, so why not? So it is a welcome change. Thank you.
Gururaja sir, can you please go ahead?
I'm in practice of Ayurveda since the last 24 years, and while practicing, I come across the few lacunas in Ayurveda practice. The one is pain management. We don't have such strong painkillers. We don't have such strong wide spectrum antibiotics. We don't have such wide anesthetics. So these are the certain areas where we need to work up. So I started using this bhang as soon as this was available in the market. So there are one or two other companies that also started producing it. So I started using them. But definitely, they have got an edge over the all other drugs what we have. For example, I used to treat a lot of renal calculus patients, but only part of problem was the pain management initially. Once I start my treatment, over 4 5 days later, the patient will be very comfortable with the medicines what we are prescribed, which are diuretic and lithotriptic and all those things. They'll be using it. But initial 4 days, it is a hell lot of things that patient will be having vomiting sensation, pain, and he'll be screaming and such things. And in those conditions, when we started using these things, a patient is quite happy with the first 3 doses itself. So that gives a very good relief, and that gives a very wide scope for the Ayurveda practice to enhance. Even Ayurvedic doctors will have that confidence later. And that is the area what we need to do a lot of research. So that is the one, the pain management. Similarly, in IBS and ulcerative colitis and that type of Grahani rogas, there was a problem when we used to do all the Dadimadhi Churna, even that Mabarid capsule and everything, Rasam and Parpati containing drugs. We used a lot. But still, once you stop the medication, there is a reoccurrence. Then we started using that Bilvadi Churna and Jatifaladi Churna. Jatifaladi Churna was not regularly you could be able to procure it, but Bilvadi Churna I used to get. So once I started using it, definitely it has given a cutting edge in the practice and the results outcome. So that's why, and even in case of male erectile dysfunction, that Kameshwara Modaka. So these things containing bhang in it definitely has a cutting edge, and that is where Ayurvedic practitioners require as important tools. If these emergency conditions are handled with which those who can give result instantaneously or at least in a short duration, definitely patient starts believing even the other prescriptions and other drugs of the doctor, and the patient will going to continue with the Ayurvedic. Otherwise what happens is patient comes that they don't want to go to allopathy or even comes to Ayurveda, take the medicine, but pain is unbearable. Then the next night itself the patient calls, doctor, I got a severe pain. Shall I go for injection? So that was the issue. So then it is definitely once these bong related drugs are coming to market, definitely it is a very important tool in the hands of Ayurveda physician, and definitely our scope of practice will increase.
I have a question for that. I'll come to you later, Guruji sir. May sir, please go ahead.
Actually, what I wanted to add up what Raghuram Shastri sir and Guru sir had spoken. The sexual wellness, I deliberately use this word because the two important aspects which a human being is really concerned with. One is reproduction, the other one is pain. And pain is something that disturbs both body and mind, which is because of its unbearable conditions and different things. Now, basically, bhang without THC, that is CBD, is a very good anti-inflammatory. So, wherein it manages pain. But 0.3% of THC is allowed legally also. So maybe that is what is present in cannabis sativa, not indica. Indica has 1% THC, which is not allowed in India and elsewhere also. But sativa has 0.3, or sometimes, depending on the environmental conditions, may go up to 0.5%. But ruderalis, the other one, which is a variety, doesn't have THC at all. So this is where, but it is not seen much here. It is seen in the higher altitudes of Himalayan region and Russian origin. Ruderalis is actually Russian origin, but not much seen here. It's a very small plant. So coming, and for us it is actually sativa that is being supplied by state governments. So basically, why sexual wellness? Because that is a very gray area where the individual doesn't, because he has a problem, but to express that problem, he has many reservations. That is what Hebar sir had told. This may lead to divorce, it may lead to many social and psychological problems along with their own physical problem. So because of that, this particular thing, when it is taken, it takes care of both aspects in a considerable manner. Of course, it has to be regulated. It has to be given with regulation. There is no doubt in that. But we are giving a great relief to a person who is in pain. We are giving a great relief to a family who is having a very big strain within themselves. So I think this is somewhere which will become the strength of Ayurvedic practitioners and probably any practitioner in due course of time, because it will go to a more generalized way with legal regulations, that's for sure, and in due course of time. So that is why I use the word sexual wellness rather than sexual health, because it takes care of the wellness of the individual, which is an important aspect rather than just a disease condition.
Thank you, sir. To Guruji sir, you mentioned that in the treatment of renal calculi, in the initial few days, patient will be having extreme pain and even nausea, etc. The pain is there due to the stones which are there previously, or because I know Ayurveda medicine start breaking down the renal calculi and they start moving the ureter, that causes pain?
So usually one of the presenting complaint in any renal calculus or Ashmari will be pain. And as soon as there is a rotation or movement of the thing, or when calculus is pushed down or it is breaking up, then also if the sharp edges are there, then they also cause pain sensation. That's what I said. When we start using medication, within 4 days, that sharp edges will be somewhat made into a smoother one, and their movement may not induce such a sharp reaction of a pain. But in the initial days, definitely it causes a lot of pain, and that is the one area where many times there is a chance of patient slipping away from your hand, and you will go to the Westerners and lithotriptic procedures and laser therapies and all those things, many other things, and they say that, sir, what to do? I cannot bear the pain. So that part, controlling the pain and reducing the pain, if it is achieved, definitely the other part is already taken care of by other rest of the medicines which are already giving, and it is also shown the expulsion of renal calculus many a times. So that is a very commonest thing which what we come across. Similarly, the pancreatic pain. Nowadays, I am getting usually almost every week one or the other patient of chronic pancreatitis with pancreatic ductal calculus. These are things very common, and it is also once again a very severe painful condition. And if you could be able to give some our own medicines to cut down this pain management, definitely the scope of practicing Ayurveda will increase like anything. That is the area where we need to do it. Because till now, whenever such problems are there, if it is a skeletal muscle problems, we use the maximum gugulus. If it is in soft muscles or even the spasmodic pain, then we have hingu, jeera, so ajwain. These are things were there. So this is what it's definitely a game changer. Such many companies with that product will come to market. Definitely, our practicing physicians will be benefited.
Tremendous area, scope of use of Bhang there. Sandeep Agrawalji, please.
So this question is for Mahesh sir. The question is about the two varieties you mentioned, the Pahadi versus plain. So do you think that it's the indica which is available, it's the Pahadi one, and then the Sativa which is the plain one?
Yeah, exactly. To be very frank, this one when we had visited certain areas like UP and Himachal Pradesh, so that is where we came across this description, where the Pahadi ones they use basically the local people they were using, and it caused high THC. Now, when I gone through the literature and other aspects regarding while I was working on this company and other products, so the Sativa and indica is actually two varieties which are mentioned on the basis of how they are present, how they are obtained. Sativa means cultivated. The word sativa actually means cultivated. So it is a cultivated variety where we are getting and of course the procurement. The indica means it is the Indian variety. Indica is by default India. So that is Indian variety. It can be any which is widely seen here, and probably the Pahadi what they are mentioning is wild. Even in fact they cultivated ones, because the thing with cannabis is it is a very revolutionary plant, I can say. Wherever it just enters, it tries to dominate the whole environment. So because of that, probably when the cultivated variety was there in the plains, because cultivation more happens on the plains, so that's why it has been more rampantly available, and it is a sativa thing. Whereas in the higher areas where the cultivation process is very low, the wild variety, which is the original Indian variety, which is same, and what we see even indica, the activity like giving high is more in indica, and it's negligible or very low in case of sativa. That is actually what we have already seen, and by analysis also, chemical analysis, what we have got from literature is that THC is nearly 1 to 1.5% in indica, and 0.5 around is in sativa, and almost nil, below 0.3%, which is the admissible limit, in ruderalis. Ruderalis is a very small plant, which is recently seen in, and ruderalis actually is the name of a botanist, of a Russian botanist, who introduced this species. So that is why its name came. Now, slightly morphologically, it is smaller than these two varieties, and it has very low THC. So now they are planning to think of that variety to be introduced into different aspects. Because basically because 0.3% is the admissible limit even in US, not only in India. 0.3% of THC is the only admissible limit of THC in US also. So because of that, we cannot go with higher varieties.
Coming to the question on purification of Bhanga, I just readily collected a few Shodhana methods. Shodhana means purification. It says it's from Rasatarangini 28th chapter. Matulani Shushkapatram Saliletu Nimajayet Nishpidya Shushkam Gavyaje Bharjayet Manda Vahnina. So it says, so Bhanga is immersed in water, washed thoroughly, and then dried, and then it is fried in Gavyaja, that is ghee, cow ghee, on a mild fire. So that is told. And there is another thing regarding the Babula Tvak Kashaya. So Bhanga Vishushkamadaya Babula Tvak Kashayataha Swedayet Gatikardam tu Madhya Manala Yogataha. That's what explained is Babula Tvak Kashaya, or Acacia nilotica bark decoction is used for in a procedure called as Swedana, that is done in Dola Yantra. Guru, can you please go ahead with this explanation, please?
See, first of all, we need to understand certain things. Bhanga immersed in water, wash it thoroughly, and it is fried in ghee. That is a general or samanya shodhana procedure that is to be applied. Whereas the Babulatva Kashaya Svedana, which is mentioned, which is very specifically in those areas where Babula you are going to use for particularly Stambhana actions, particularly for male erectile dysfunction and such things. If you go down there in the same shloka, you can find that references there. It is going for purpose of increasing the kama, kamodipana yogeshu, visheshana niyojayet. This is what they say typically, because Babula is also Kashaya Rasa in nature. Kashaya Rasa is Shita Virya. Definitely it will help in Stambhana purposes. Energetic manner works with the Bhang. That's the reason it is mentioned. Otherwise, general Shodhana is always with the Gogrita.
Yeah, actually Bhang, it's a Upavisha category, comes under the Upavisha category. Shodhana is what the main thing that we need to do. Sorry to just interrupt. There was one thing in the chat box which I just saw just now regarding common side effect and all. See, especially Ayurvedic medicines, what we have to do the Shodhana. So not only with Bhang, with the many other things like even Haridra also. So wherein the Shodhana gives the efficacy to the substance, whatever. So if not, what happens is they otherwise, or its reverse action also can be seen as a toxic effect. That is why Shodhana we also do in when it comes to Madan Kameshwari also, where the Bhang is taken, because 25% of Bhang is one of the major ingredient of Madan Kameshwari. It contains 25% of the total product. So wherein Shodhana has to be done, and as sir told, Babula Tot are some of the specific, and you have other methods also which we also employ. So 2-3 Shodhana procedures we undertake because it is an Upavisha. So because of that, the toxic effects what it may produce will surely be nullified to the extent that we can take it to a certain to an admissible limit. Because if you see the reference of Madan Kameshwari in Sahasra Yoga, 6 grams of the product is given per night, and it's one single dose at night. But today we tested at 6 grams. Even after Shodhana also, present day individual can't bear that 6 grams also. So that is the problem that we have. So we strictly use, or we clearly in the brochure we have, which is along with this product, we strictly mention that it is to be given maximum of 3 grams, not more than that, so that you get what you require. Now this 3 grams, if that depends on the condition also. So if we use in this particular manner, it is safe. There is no problem with that. But anything irrespective of Bhang, presence of Bhang or not, when it is abused, then it will show its side effects, it will show its unwanted effects. That is for sure. Even food what we take, rice also, when we take it in an improper manner, it is bound to show its unwanted effects. Ajirna is an unwanted effect of excessive intake. So where is Upavisha again? Upavisha being in Bhang being in Upavisha, it will cause unwanted effect when it is abused. So that has to be prevented. And even after proper Shodhana with 2 times, 2 levels of Shodhana, still this can produce a unwanted effect when it goes above 6 grams, which is 6 grams, which is the classical dose. So if you go above 6 grams, there is no question of that, but 6 grams also is not that much indicated at this.
Thank you. And how long one can use Pain Sutra or Sleep Sutra oils? They are used for external usage. Is there any duration limit that you are prescribing?
In case of a Pain Sutra or a Sleep Sutra, it is completely an external topical applications. It is not to be taken internally. Our main concept was to avoid internal usage, where the question of addictions and thing really matters. So here Pain Sutra, what we mention is only in the terms of drops, because it's coming in a very small bottle, and it's a concentrated one. So wherein it is given or it is to be administered in the drops wherever, only in the affected area. And that once the pain is relieved, it can be stopped, or it can be given with some other medicine, so that the internal, if there is any unwanted pathological changes, then that can be corrected. And the second one is Sleep Sutra. Sleep Sutra is applied on the leg. As I told, we have used the concept of Padabhyanga, etc. And that duration is usually 1 or 2 days, or maximum of 15 days that we mention. But again, as it is not a habituating one, it can be stopped immediately whenever the person feels that he is having sufficient or good sleep. It is not something that is to be taken, or that can be taken, or it can be gone for longer duration also, because we only recommend 10 drops of this Sleep Sutra on the Padabhyanga, for Padabhyanga rather.
Thank you. Dr. Rams, please.
This question again to Mahesh sir itself regarding pain sutra and sleep sutra medications we are speaking, sir. The question was, I think, asked by Sandhya ji. I too had a similar question here. Adding on to that, are there any doctors? So since you said you are in the startup since last 4 months, are there some doctors or your team, somebody is conducting a study or a trial or a type of research so as to see if these medicines, pain sutra and sleep sutra, work with and without oral medications and any other therapies? Because people are behind reducing medications now. People will be very happy with no drug therapy or minimum drug therapy. As much as the medicines, oral medications are relieved, that is reduced, and these applications and also the external measures are used, they will be very satisfactory. So is there any study which is going on, or do you have any trials conducted before launching these medicines? Number one. So regarding pain sutra, you said that after the pain gets relieved, it should be stopped. Are there any parameters like subjective and objective parameters you have taken into consideration to see if repair has done? You said in muscular diseases and also the musculoskeletal pains, it can be used. To see the reversal of pain, any clinical evidence in the form of some supportive documents like that one. And number three, how different are pain sutra and the sleep sutra from the other medications which are used for pain relief and sleep relief, that is sleeplessness relief? And do they have an edge over the other medications because of consisting bhang in them? So your comments on these questions.
Yeah, first thing is actually the two formulations what we are speaking, that is pain sutra and sleep sutra, is formulation that we have brought it from a practitioner in Austria. So he basically, we have taken him as a partner only, and he had been practicing with the same formulation for 10 long years in Austria. So because of that, we had applied here and we used that. And upon that, again, we have given, because I have told you from past 4 months, we are really entered into the fray. So we have given people around, not only myself, but also the doctors whom we had supplied. So pain sutra, that's what on the observation basis, that is what I have mentioned. So it will be helpful in soft tissue pains, unlike the joint pains where the hard tissue is mainly involved. So because pain sutra was devised on the concept of sports medicine, like sprains and things, so that will be much more useful. And with respect to sleep sutra, it is developed on the basis of aromatherapy, where we use actually some of the European aromatic oils also are being used, like lavender oil, things like that. So where it induces sleep. So that is why, because it consists around 4 to 5 aromatic essential oils. So where this becomes more powerful. So this aromatherapy, which uses the fragrance, to induce sleep, that becomes the basis for psychological, induction of sleep. Unlike a substance which is taken orally and which we don't have control. So this is given only topical application. And there are instances where 1 or 2 where, of course, because there is no product, what I believe, in the world that is 100% perfect. So there are at times, there are setbacks. But majority of the time, this already had been used in European context, and also in India. We are from past 4 months, we are looking into observations of different physicians. So sleep sutra has a better effect, but it has to be taken for some time, because those who are habituated to a medication, for them it is slowly, because they have to leave that, and psychological, especially sleep is something that psychological plays a very, very important role, rather than just a physical aspect. So what we have in our medication is, because of the aromatherapy, it reduces the stress, and which is an important cause for sleeplessness. So because the aroma oil and this hemp oil what we have, that gives that edge what is required, or it gives a circle of influence of this aroma, because of which the induction of sleep is much more easier. And what I feel personally is that it is a major thing that we are trying to get away people from these medications, because we know that these medicines, may be diazepam, alprazolam, or whatever medications for sleep, internal, even including our ashwagandha capsules, whatever. So long run, they have a drastic effect on the body, so which is undesirable. So that is why these things have to be replaced in a more milder one, in a more better one. As we have aromatherapy base for this one, I think that is the basic thing which is inducing more than help of this hemp oil. But still, hemp has its role because it's a very good painkiller, as I have told. So pain is another thing that relieves, that disturbs sleep. So even that is taken care of with the induction of hemp oil into it. Yes.
Guru sir, please.
For the management of pain as well as management of sleep, we have got our own medicines and we are using it. But still there was a lacuna. We could not achieve the result in each and every patient. And we are already using those medicines. With that, if you add these type of pain sutra or sleep sutra, something like that, definitely the results will be much more better, and the patient convenience and even the compliance will be much more better, and it will definitely increase the Ayurvedic practice scope.
I know that you're just 4 months old, but have you got any queries for export, or you're thinking on those lines? I know it's too early, but having said that, Bhanga is Vyavai and it spreads. So do you have any export queries, or when you're planning for exports, what are the things that you're considering?
Basically, presently we are having some plans to go into US and European markets, because one of our partner is in Europe, in Austria. So, we are looking into that option, but as I told, it's too early to go into such huge markets, because basically we need to cater the demands once they come off. Because once we are not able to cater the demands, if we fail to cater the demands, then the whole system what we have will just collapse. So that, to prevent that, we have some 2-3 queries, one to UAE, the other one to mainly Europe and US, but they have their own regulations and things in place. So we are looking into the option of exploiting those markets, but I think it may take some time.
And there is this question, like essential oils are mostly used with carrier oils, sleep sutra, pain sutra oils are applied directly or mixed with any carrier oils. I believe they are applied directly, not mixed with any other thing, because it's...
No, they may not apply with any other oils. You can apply it because they are in drops. So, and the bottle comes with a dropper. I will send the brochures of those things also.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the product list that we have.
Hi, sir. One more question.
Yeah.
Sleep sutra, pain sutra, is it apply and leave or apply and massage? Because you mentioned in terms of sleep sutra that it is also formulated on the basis of the idea
Aroma.
of Pada Bhanga, aromatherapy, and also Pada Bhanga. So
Yeah.
a Bhanga component is used, or just apply and leave? Because you're mentioning in drops, we cannot go for that massage aspect.
Yes, actually it is to be applied, and slight massage of around 4 to 5 minutes after its application, and not like a general abhyanga, because general abhyanga you will use more of oil also. Here it's only in drops, so say 4 to 5 minutes. Then it's a self massage, no one else is necessary for that. Just apply on the legs, and such that the oil is evenly spread, and the aroma is also out of it, and you get that encircling of that aroma.
This may be a
And,
small doubt again. So
Yeah.
even for all our easy Ayurveda followers here, where exactly do you suggest applying that oil over the foot? Right on the top or at the bottom of the foot? Where
Complete
exactly?
foot. Complete foot,
Complete.
because that is why we need 5 or 10 drops
Okay.
to apply. So it's just a smearing of oil actually, and make a go. So if some people, they also, if they feel that it's not, they are having some aversion towards the stickiness, if they feel it doesn't stick, in fact, because once you do that small massage of 3 to 4 minutes or 5 or 5 minutes, it just gets evaporated because most of them are volatile oils. But still, they can give a warm water wash to the legs, which will be even more enhancing it, because again the aroma gets still more spread out with warm water application. That also can be included into that.
Is it immediately like Svedana? As you're saying, like
No, I think you have to give a gap of 5 minutes again,
Okay.
so that the small uh, time period is very much necessary.
Vapors fermentation or a foot dip also will do.
Wash is enough. May not
Wash
be a
is
dip
enough.
also. Just a wash is enough.
Okay.
It just so that the feeling of that oil may stick to their clothes will be avoided.
Okay.
So once that is done, usually it may not, but still the feeling, as I told, psychology plays a very important aspect in sleep, and just a thought that it may stick may again disturb their sleep. So that to be avoided, you can advise the washing of the foot with warm water.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all the audience for all the questions and making it very interesting.
Thanks for your wishes, and thanks for everyone who had given me the chance. Thanks for Easy Ayurveda and their team, especially Dr. Janardhan Hebbar. We are planning to have launched 4 more products with the CBD oil for pain management in cancer and smooth muscle pain management, especially for women health. And just we are thinking of 4 more products, which we will be coming, I think, by say October end or somewhere.
Do you require if someone is approaching you, do you demand like a board registration certificate so that to ensure that the person is an Ayurveda doctor?
Yeah, basically till date what we have done is we have given to only those doctors whom I or some of my friends personally know. So that didn't require any board certification. But if it's completely an unknown person, then I think we need a Xerox, a screenshot of that board certificate, because otherwise or even the person who has taken our product will be at crossroads, which we want to prevent. Legally, it will be a problem. So whoever wants, please, they can just send me the scanned copy of the board certificate through WhatsApp to the same number.
Thank you, everyone. Especially thank you, Dr. Raghuram sir and Dr. Gurubodha sir, for adding so much value to this session. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next class, next Saturday, next Gurubodha session next Sunday. Namaste.